Hey guys, Kurt Hughes here with Ignite Baseball. One of the things that I see a lot in games is that kids will swing at bad pitches, and coaches many times will say that one of their hitters they're not very good at selecting which pitch to swing at, and they talk a lot about, like, in order to correct for that, they talk a lot about the mental approach and, what kind of pitch you're looking for, where is the strike zone. Those are usually the answers that are given when you're looking at a hitter that, swings at bad pitches a lot or, takes a looking third strike or something like that. And some of that can be mental, right? If you've heard of the positive hitting theory, it's a really simple concept. Basically, all that it says is you're saying yes the whole time, and then the only time that you actually hit the brakes is when you all of a sudden say, okay, no, I'm not going to swing. And you do that every single pitch. So that's a really good option as like a really basic way to think about the swing. Every swing that you take, you're swinging until you decide that you're not swinging. So that way you'll take less looking third strike. So that's a huge thing that you should kind of incorporate to what you're doing. And if you look across major league swings, you see that in every swing. Every time that a major leaguer takes a pitch, they're already stepping, and then they just decide not to continue their swing. That said, that's not always the only answer. That can be the answer, but it also can be a mechanical problem that forces the hitter to not be able to get in the way of the pitch as quick as they want to. So let me kind of explain what I mean by that. So the time between when your brain says, okay, it's time to swing, and when your swing actually gets in the way of the pitch, we want that to be the smallest time possible, so that way you know the most about the pitch when you make that decision to swing, right? So if a pitcher is just releasing the ball and your go move, meaning the time when your brain says, okay, it's time to go, if that takes a long period of time, then you have to make a decision to swing on a pitch pretty early. And when you make that decision to swing on a pitch early, and that pitch is slower than you thought it was going to be, faster than you thought it was going to be, higher than you thought it was going to be, lower than you thought it was going to be, or it had movement that you didn't expect, usually what that means is that you just missed the ball. And sometimes that pitch that you miss would be like a strike, and other times it'll like be out of the zone. And a lot of times that's what ends up happening when you see hitters that swing at bad pitches all the time. It's not necessarily because they're not using the positive hitting theory. It's not necessarily that they're not like prepared to hit. Just the way that their body is moving is not allowing them to make that decision to swing and then actually execute the swing in a very small window of time, which is really what we're looking for. So they have to commit early. They commit early. They don't know enough about the pitch, and it ends up being a ball. So body positioning is hugely important. When you look at most major league swings, what you see is that both feet are down, which is a really simple concept, right? And then the feet are outside the hips. If the feet are outside the hips, then you can use your legs for leverage. If the feet are not outside the hips, then you can't use your legs to help spin your pelvis, which is really what the turn is. So we're going to look at a couple videos here in just a second and just kind of show you what that looks like.
Hey guys, so we're looking at a bunch of video here. I usually try to get really like complex and look at every little thing that hitters do, but because of the topic of this video, I wanted to make sure that I stayed somewhat general, so that way parents can look at this and really kind of get some really easy value to figure out, if my kid is just getting beat like really bad on fastballs and swinging at bad pitches really consistently. Here are just some really easy things to look at to see if they're doing it right and how we can fix it. So I'm going to go through all these hitters and kind of show you one thing at a time, and then we'll just kind of circle back, okay? So first, I want you guys to see that all of these guys have an A shape of their body when they're at foot landing, okay? And usually that A is going to lean back just a little bit. You can see how Altuve's A is shifted a little bit more back, okay? So what that means is that when Altuve lands, his feet are outside his hips, so we can get that A shape right up to his head. And you'll see him kind of turn, and that head stays pretty still as he gets into that. This is George Springer. You're going to see the same thing when he lands. Boom. Here's that A. Okay. And he turns and he kind of maintains that as he swings, except for his back foot gets pulled away from that. Okay. And then we got Giancarlo Stanton. Same story. Here's that A. Charlie Blackmon, same thing. Here's the A again, right there at landing. Okay, his is shifted back even more. Chris Bryant, same thing. His is leaned back pretty far as well, just like Blackmon. Josh Donaldson, same story. Here's his landing. It's got that A. Okay, and one more. Chris Davis. Same thing. Boom. Boom. So what does that do? Why do we care about the A? I'm going to kind of go back to the beginning and look at Altuve. So the A is really important because it gives you leverage to turn your hips. I'm not going to go down the weeds too far, but what I am going to say is that if you think about, if you break the leg up of Altuve into horizontal and vertical components, you know, if you went back to math class and you were like, okay, well, this is the X direction, this is the Y direction, okay? The only direction that counts in your ability to actually turn your hips is the X direction, because that provides you the force going in this direction for your front hip. And then if we look at the back hip, we can look at it the exact same way. Okay, there's the horizontal direction, X, right? And then Y over here, right? So the only one that actually matters is that horizontal direction this way, so that way we can move our back hip this way, and we know our spine is in the center, and we just rotate right around that spine, as you see Altuve do right there. And you'll see that with all of these guys. They have a really nice horizontal directionality of their feet in relation to their hips. So Springer, there he is. I'm just going to draw it real quick. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on it. I'm not going to go through all these guys either because I already kind of pointed this out. Same thing with Stanton. He's got super long legs, so he has even better force vectors to turn his hips, as you can see there. Okay, so that is really the main thing that determines whether a hitter is going to have the ability to decide late or not. So that's the thing that you can make an immediate impact on your son or daughter's swing. If you can get them to make sure that when they step, they land with their feet outside the width of their hips, then they'll have way more success and be able to actually make their swing way quicker, which will show a lot of results for them. So some ways that you can do that is like just put tape on the ground and make them step over the tape. Sometimes I'll like put like a bottle cap in front of their front foot and make a hitter like step over the top of it. It really doesn't matter what you do. You need to make it quantitative though. So the goal is that they figure out how to do or to get that step exactly right every time, so it's consistent across the board. If you have any questions about this, feel free to shoot me an email or give me a call. My contact information is down below.